Hey guys, picture this. You're spending 10 grand a month on ads. Your leads are qualified. Your offer actually works. You've got the testimonials to prove it, but your sales team is only closing at 10 to 15%. And you're sitting there thinking, what the heck am I doing wrong? Here's what nobody tells you. You don't have a sales problem. You have an ecosystem problem. And the craziest part, the solution isn't hiring better closers. It's not rewriting your script. And it's definitely not you spending more money on ads. In this video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you the real reason your sales team is underperforming, and it's probably not what you think. I'm also gonna reveal to you the 3 hidden killers that are destroying your close rates right now, even if your leads are perfect. Now, hey, if you guys don't know me, my name is Robbie Summers. I've personally closed over $100 million in high ticket sales, trained sales teams that have generated hundreds of millions more. And here's the craziest part. I did it all by breaking the #1 rule every sales guru teaches. Guys, I've worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs who've had the same problem you might be facing right now. You've got a great offer, you've got great leads, and terrible close rates. And what I discovered will probably make you uncomfortable, but if you can handle the truth, I promise you this video will change everything about how you think about sales. Let me start with something that's gonna sound harsh, but I need you to hear it. If your sales team is underperforming despite good leads and a proven offer, the problem is 100% you, not them. Here's what I see. A founder builds an amazing business. They validate their offer. They get their marketing dialed in. Leads start pouring in. Everything looks perfect on paper, and they hire a sales team. And suddenly, nothing works. Close rates tank, revenue stalls, and the founder starts blaming everything. The leads aren't qualified. My closers aren't hungry enough. Maybe the offer needs to change. But here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Your sales team isn't broken. Your sales ecosystem is. Let me explain what I mean by that. Most founders think a sales system is a script, a CRM, maybe some training videos, but that's not a sales system. That's just stuff. A real sales ecosystem includes things like daily coaching, call reviews, role play culture, clear standards, psychological accountability, a sales philosophy that everyone lives by. Without this ecosystem, even great leads and a killer offer will fail. And here's the shocking part. Most businesses don't even know this ecosystem exists. They think that sales is just about being good with people or having charisma. Wrong. Sales is a skill. And like any skill, it needs structure, practice, and feedback to improve. All right. So now you guys know the big problem, but let's get specific. There are 3 hidden killers destroying your close rates right now. And I guarantee at least one of them is happening on your team. Killer #1, your reps are selling price, not transformation. Here's what happens on most sales calls. The rep gets on the phone, and they ask some questions, they build a little bit of rapport, then they say, so our program is 10 grand. Does that work for you? And the prospect says the dreaded words, let me think about it. Call over, deal dead. Why? Because the rep never sold the transformation. They sold the price. Imagine you go to the doctor because your knee hurts. You've been limping around for months. You can't play with your kids. You're miserable. The doctor walks in and says, okay, surgery is 15 grand. You want it? You'd be like, wait, what? What's wrong with me? What will this fix? What happens if I don't do it? That's how your prospect feels when your reps pitch price before transformation. Good leads don't fix bad salespeople. You can double your ad spend. You can get the most qualified leads in the world. But if your reps don't know how to diagnose the problem, paint the future, and guide someone into a decision, they will fail. You have to find out where they're at, where they want to be, and how you can bridge the gap between them. Here's what great closers do differently. They'll use what I call the doctor framework. It's simple. Ask questions to understand the pain. Restate what you heard so they feel understood, and then they transform the conversation by showing them the gap between where they are and where they want to be. When you do this, the price becomes irrelevant because they're not buying a program, they're buying a new version of themselves. And that's priceless. You can't put a price on being able to play with your grandkids, go out and go golfing, go out hiking with your dogs, whatever it is. You can't put a price on there. That's what you're selling, is that transformation. Now, killer #2, your team isn't practicing. Here's a question that's going to expose everything. When was the last time your sales team did a role play? If you can't remember, that's your problem right there. Think about it. Professional athletes practice every single day. They drill, they scrimmage, they watch film, they get coached. But salespeople, most of them take calls all day and never practice once. That's insane. How can you build a successful team? The answer is you can't. Here's what I've learned after training, and I've actually hired over 1,000 salespeople. Skills stagnate after the first 90 days. Reps learn the basics, they get comfortable, then they stop improving. They stop challenging themselves, they stop getting better, and founders don't notice until revenue tanks. Here's the truth: 80% of sales teams never listen to their own calls. They never review recordings. They never hear their mistakes. They just keep repeating the same mediocrity over and over again. Can you imagine a professional sports team not watching game film the day after the competition, after the game? That never, ever happens. And that's from high school on up to the pros. You always watch game film. And you know what is crazy? Most sales leaders don't do real coaching either. They think coaching is a morning hype talk. Raw, let's go get them. It's the team time. They have your daily revenue huddle, whatever. You've got this. That's not coaching, that's cheerleading. Real coaching sounds like this. Play me your last 3 calls. Let's find the mistakes. Let's fix them. Now let's role play the right way. That's how you build skill. And that's how you double your close rates. But most teams never do it. And that's why they stay stuck at 20%. You guys, most salespeople hate role play. Most salespeople hate coaching. Hey, to have a good salesperson, generally, you got to have a little bit of an ego. They're not going to like it. It is not optional. Every day you have to be training, you have to be doing it. Killer number 3, guys, you're tolerating mediocrity. Okay, all right, now, you guys, this one's gonna get hard, but it's important for you to understand that culture equals what you tolerate, not what you preach. Let me ask you something. Do you have a clear standards for your sales team? Do they know exactly what's expected of them? Do they know what happens if they don't hit their numbers? Or do you just hope they figure it out? Most founders hire reps for enthusiasm, not competency. They choose people they like instead of people who can actually sell. Then they don't set clear KPIs. They don't track performance. They don't hold anyone accountable. And when close rates drop, they're shocked. You're tolerating mediocrity. Your sales team matches your standards. High standards equal high performance. Low standards equals low conversions. It's that simple. If you tolerate reps who don't this and review their calls, who don't hit their numbers, guess what? That becomes your culture, and culture determines outcome. Here's what I've seen over and over again. Founders will spend 50 grand on a new funnel. They'll hire a fancy new marketing agency. They'll rewrite their entire offer, but they won't fire the rep who's been closing at 5% for 6 months. Why? Guys, it's uncomfortable. It sucks to fire somebody. I don't care who you are. If you have a heart, it's never a fun, because you are so nice, because you don't want to be the bad guy. But here's the reality. Every day you keep a low performer is a day you're losing revenue. And it's not just about the money. It's about the message you're sending to your entire team. When you tolerate mediocrity, you're telling your A players that excellence, it doesn't matter. And guess what happens? Your A players leave. They turn into B players, C players, or they go out and find the right place for them to be that A player. High performing closers hate weak lead flow, weak management, and weak standards. They bounce early, and you're left with C players who stay because they can't get jobs anywhere else. That's the death spiral. And it starts with what you tolerate. Now, you guys, we've covered the 3 killers, but now what I want to share something with you that's going to sound completely backwards. If your sales team is underperforming, the problem isn't your team, it's you. That's not what you wanted to hear, but it's the truth. Here's why. You hired them. You trained them. You set the standards. You built the environment they're failing in. Sales teams don't create culture. They respond to it. Do you guys hear that? Now, think about it. If your reps aren't practicing, whose fault is it? It's yours. You didn't make it mandatory. If your reps aren't reviewing calls, whose fault is it? It's yours. You didn't build it into the system. If your reps aren't closing at 20, 30%, whose fault is it? It's yours. You tolerate it. Now, I'm not saying all this to make you feel bad. I'm saying it to empower you, because if you're the problem, that means, guess what? You're also the solution. You can't control the economy. You can't control your competitors. You can't control whether a prospect has money, but you can 100% control your sales ecosystem. And when you fix the ecosystem, everything else fixes itself. Here's what most founders get wrong. They think the solution is hiring better closers. So they fire their team. They hire new people. And guess what? The same thing happens. Why? Because the ecosystem didn't change. You can't hire your way out of a systems problem. If your onboarding sucks, your new hires will fail. If your coaching sucks, if your standards suck, your new hires will fail. The problem isn't the people you're hiring, it's the environment you're putting them in. Here's the good news. When you fix the ecosystem, good reps become great, and great reps become unstoppable. Guys, I've seen it hundreds of times. Founder comes to me and they say, my team sucks. I need new closers. And I say, no, you need a new system. We build the ecosystem. We implement daily coaching. We create a role play culture. We set clear standards. And suddenly the sales reps who are closing at 5 or 10% are closing at 15 or 20%. The reps that are closing at 20 or 30% are closing at 40 to 50%. Same people, different environment. That's the power of a sales ecosystem. Now, you guys, you know the problem. You know the 3 killers. You know the contrarian truth, but what do you actually do about it? Let me give you the framework. If you want to take your team from 5, 10% to 15, 20, 30% in 90 days, you need to build 3 things. Number 1, a pillar is your coaching culture. First, you need to make coaching non-negotiable. It's not an option. Here's what that looks like. Daily call reviews. Every rep submits their best calls and worst calls from the day before. You review them. Does it take time? Yeah, it does. As a team, you find the mistakes, you fix them. You have role plays. Every rep practices handling objections. They practice the doctor framework. They practice guiding someone into a decision. Monthly, one-on-one calls. You sit down with each rep individually. You go deep on their performance. You identify their weaknesses. You create a plan to fix them. Guys, this isn't optional. This is the foundation, because here's the truth. A rep who doesn't practice is a liability. You wouldn't hire a surgeon who never practiced. You wouldn't hire a pilot who never trained. So why on earth would you hire a salesperson who never role plays? Make coaching part of your culture. Make it expected. Make it mandatory. And watch your close rates skyrocket. Pillar number 2, create standards and accountability. You've got to set crystal clear expectations and standards. Every rep needs to know what their close rate should be. How many calls should they take every week? What happens if they hit their numbers and what happens if they don't? And you should reward and have out punishment. They should know and understand what that is. There's no ambiguity, no confusion, just clarity. You guys, sales people love clarity and they want it. They want to know what happens. You just have to hold them accountable. If a rep isn't hitting their numbers, you coach them, you give them feedback, you help them improve. But if they still don't improve after 30 days, you let them go. Guys, I know that sounds harsh, but here's the reality. Every day you keep a low performer is a day you're losing revenue. And it's not fair to them either. If they're not succeeding, they're miserable. You're doing them a favor by helping them find a role where they can actually thrive. High standards aren't mean, they're kind, because they create an environment where excellence is expected and mediocrity isn't tolerated. And that's where A players, that's where I want to be. I want to be in an environment where mediocrity is not tolerated. That's where A players want to be. The 3rd pillar is the doctor framework. And you've got to teach your team that framework. This is the methodology that separates average closers from elite closers. Here's how it works. Ask questions. Don't pitch. Don't talk about your offer. Just ask questions to understand their pain. What's going on? Why did you book this call? What are you struggling with? You've got to ask those questions and you've got to dig deep and continue to ask those questions until you get the answers that you want, until you understand the pain. If a doctor just comes in and says, oh, you've got knee pains, but they don't ask which knee it's in, is that going to be a little awkward? Is that going to be a little odd? If they don't ask, is that the top of the knee, the bottom of the knee, the side, where's the pain coming from? How could you diagnose anything? Ask questions. Second step is restate what you heard. This is where most reps fail. They hear the pain, but they don't reflect it back. Tony Robbins says, identify the pain, magnify the hurt. That is such a powerful statement. So if I do that and I restate what I just heard, all of a sudden, a couple of things happen. Number 1, they know that I'm listening and I make sure that I understand the pain. Number 2, and you do things like, so if I'm hearing you're working 60 hours a week and you're still not hitting your revenue goals, is that accurate? When you restate the prospect, they feel understood. And when they feel understood, they trust you. 3rd step is transform the conversation into action. This is where you show them the gap between where they are now and where they want to be. So right now you're stuck at 10K a month. But you told me your goal is $50,000 a month. That's a $40,000 gap. And every month that goes by, you're losing 40K. Gosh, I'm not great at math, but that's almost $500,000 a year. If we could help you to close that gap and create that $500,000 a year, is that something you'd be interested in? See, now all of a sudden, they're not buying just a program. They're not buying just a price. They're buying a transformation. And if I know and I understand what their real pain is, they're working 60 hours a week. Gosh, if you're making $500,000 a year, could you do more things with your family? Could you do this? Could you go golfing? Could you buy that new car that you wanted? What would that do? Guys, now they're not buying a program. They're buying a solution to their hopes, their goals, their dreams. That's the Doctor framework. And when your team masters it, close rates, they double. Now, guys, the final truth here is, and we're almost done, but I want to leave you with one final thought. You don't fix an underperforming sales team. You fix the sales system, the ecosystem that created them. Most founders try to fix individual reps. They rewrite scripts, they tweak commission structures, they blame their leads, but those are symptoms. The ecosystem is always the cause. If you want to go from 5, 10% close rates on your high ticket sales to 20, 30, 40, 50% close rates, you need to stop chasing these quick fixes and start building a real sales ecosystem. Now that means hiring for competency, not enthusiasm. Coaching daily, not monthly. Setting clear standard expectations and holding your people accountable to those expectations. Teachable framework, like the Doctor framework, the art, ask questions, restate, transform their goals into action. It's an art. We create that framework and a culture where practice is expected. And when you do this, everything changes. Your reps get better, your close rates go up, your revenue explodes, and the best part, you're not the bottleneck anymore. You build a system that works without you, a system that scales, a system that wins every single time. That's the power of a sales ecosystem. Now, guys, look, I know this was a lot, and I know some of this was a little bit uncomfortable for some of you guys to hear, but if you're serious about scaling your business, you need to hear the truth. Your sales team isn't broken, your ecosystem is. And the good news, though, is, gosh, you can fix it. If you want to go deeper on this with me, I've got another video that breaks down the exact weekly accountability structure that keeps performance high. It's the system I use with every team I train. I'll link it right in here. Go watch it next. And if this video helped you guys, do me a favor, leave a comment and let me know what your biggest takeaway was. Thanks for watching. Now let's go out and build a sales ecosystem that actually works for you, for your team, and the people that you're serving. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.